Let your chair do their job. Your chair, your committee members all have particular roles and responsibilities when it comes to your dissertation. And I often find that students are unclear about what these roles or expectations. And most students are trying to serve as a student and they're trying to serve as a faculty member. And so you're trying to do all the thinking and effort that your chair is supposed to, and we just simply need to help them to do their job. And I'm going to explain more about what I mean. But as people are coming in, I just want to say, Finish Your Dissertation is open for enrollment. We will close enrollment on Monday, July 22nd or 29th. I need to go double check. But we have 10 spots. I think right now we're about 4 or 5 of those are left. So if you've been on the fence, friend, and you've been thinking about it, go ahead and type FYD to start your application and to just make sure that you are a good fit for the program. But today I came in here because I've been coaching all day and it brought up something. And Benita, because I told her I would name her, she inspired today's rant. I'm gonna try not to rant too much because I want this to be helpful for y'all, but I should stop trying to do 2 things at once. Let me get this comment up just for the people, and then that way we'll be good to go. All right. Why wouldn't it let me pin? All right. So I was coaching earlier and a couple of students, not just Benita, but she got me to my point. I was talking to a few students earlier, and I am someone who expects for you to submit a draft of something to your chair every month. So let's just stop there. I expect you, whether you are in my program or not, the fact that you are on this live, I'm already your coach. That's how I show up here on Instagram. I show up as, if you are giving me your time and your attention, and that means you are open to receiving my support and my guidance. And my guidance is saying that you should be striving for submitting something to your chair at least once a month. What would it look like for you to submit an entire chapter at least once a month? For those of you who are just starting, especially if you're in a proposal somewhere, what would it look like to submit your literature review by the end of July? What would it look like to write up your shitty draft of your methods chapter, get it decent enough, 70-80% good to go, and turn it in? How much faster would you be moving through this process if you did that? How much faster would you get to the end of the dissertation if you have the goal, if you have the focus of, I'm going to submit something to my chair once a month? But for many of you, no shade, you probably just need to start with meeting with your chair at least once a month. Most of you are hiding from the very people whose job it is to help you. And so earlier, when I was coaching students, I was coaching Benita, and she has written her literature review. She has a strong 20-page draft. And another rule that I have is that we need to just go ahead and make peace with. You're going to write at least 5 drafts of a chapter or a manuscript before you even feel like you're getting somewhere. Let me say that again. I need you to prepare for a minimum of 5 drafts. How I operationalize a draft is I go to my computer, I type words on a page, I edit those words, I find some citations, I get it to about 70%, like a C-, and then I turn it in to someone to review and give me feedback. Once they give me feedback and I start to incorporate that feedback, that begins another draft. So what I am saying to you is to prepare in your heart and your soul that you're going to do 5 rounds of that before your chair is probably like, oh, now we can start thinking about scheduling your defense. Now we can start thinking about it. Hear my words. You're going to write 5 drafts before we can start thinking about it. If that is not for you, being a doctor is not for you. And I'm willing to stand 10 toes down on that. I was just talking to someone, a team member, and I was like, I think in the past couple of years, my messaging got a little bit confusing. Because while I do tell you, don't operate in shame and guilt, I think some of y'all hear me say don't work. That is not what I'm saying. You want to be a doctor. You want to be among the top 3% of the world and who are known for their minds and their ways of thinking. And you don't think that's going to be hard? You don't think that's going to require you to write multiple drafts? It will, but I'm not. Let me stay focused on what today's conversation is about, though. So with the understanding of it's going to take me 5 drafts and I need to submit something to my chair once a month, then that means you have to get used to meeting with your chair. Another way of saying that is you got to get used to allowing them to do their job. So I'm talking to Benita. I'm like, you wrote this 20-page literature review. It's time to turn it in. She was like, it's not ready yet. I'm like, but we don't know it's not ready. Like, how do you know when a draft is ready to submit? That's a question for you. If y'all are brave enough, let me know in the chat. But how do you know when a draft is ready to submit to your chair? Usually what students say, like Benita, is like, I will feel like it's ready. And I ask, what is that feeling? What does it feel like? How do you know you're experiencing that feeling? And if you're only relying on something as valid, sure, but fleeting as feelings, is that the best measuring stick, if you will, of knowing when you should submit your writing for review? And so then I asked Benita, how do you know that your draft is not ready? She said, well, there's some things I wanted to add in there, some articles I wanted to read and incorporate. And I said, but what does that have to do with you submitting this draft? She's like, well, I don't want to submit it until it's all done. But then that goes back to the original question. How do we know it's done? And on the surface, this conversation may feel like, why are you asking us these questions, Dr. Lacey? Like, it's done when it's done. But what's done? Like, somebody, if you're willing to let me know in the chat, or you want to talk about this, let's talk about it. But how do you know when a draft is done to submit to your chair? How do you know when it's good enough? I'll use that language. How do you know when something's good enough to submit? Who gets to decide if it's good enough? Who gets to decide that you did it right? Who gets to decide that you included all of the relevant pieces? Who is deciding that? Many of you haven't even thought to like question that. And I'm giving you this invitation of, how do you know when something is done? How do you know when your draft is done? And how do you know when it's ready to send? We use time in Qual Scholars because I found that to be the easiest way for people to like gravitate or to like orient themselves. If my job is to submit a draft of a chapter every 30 days, then I know it's done when those 30 days are over. But for those of you who don't have time bounds in that way, how do you know your chapter is ready to submit to your chair? How do you know that your chair is like, yeah, this is what I meant when I said done? The only way you know is to submit it. I know that sounds real like, what? The only way you know that you're done with your proposal is when your chair is like, it meets my expectations. The only way to know your chair's expectations is to submit your writing to them. And maybe you're like Benita, who keeps talking to their chair, like she meets with them, she met with them before, and told him verbally what her topic was, told him verbally what she planned to do with the literature review. And she thought, as long as I tell him verbally, then he knows what I mean because we're talking about it. Many of you are probably meeting with your chairs. You're probably verbally telling them, oh, this is what I'm thinking about for my topic. And you think you're being clear when your chair has no idea what your topic is about. And the only way that they know what your topic is about, how you mean it, is to read your writing, which is why they keep saying, send me something to look at. So we first got to establish the habit of you submitting something, you getting your nervous system prepared to submit your writing at least once a month. It is in that once a month submission, when you get their feedback, that you start to understand, oh, that's what they want me to do. That's how I know I'm doing this right. That's how I know I'm going to be prepared for my proposal. But if you never submit anything for the review, guess what they can't do? Their job. They can't tell you what they expect of you. They can't tell you what to add in your proposal. Because I'm not about to sit up here and talk to you every day and like on a, like as a meeting with you and then be like, oh yeah, you're good to go. I need to see it. I got to see it in writing. Okay, let me see what these comments are before I go too far down my rant. I have a checklist, and when I check it off, first it goes to my sister, bestie, and then to my chair. I love that. You have a checklist. You hear what the key word here. You have a neutral, we can argue, objective way of saying, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I do that? It goes off to the bestie. After the bestie, it goes to the chair. And what you're doing, okay, I think I'm back. The checklist and the bestie part. So something I say in Qual Scholars is to send it to a safe reviewer. It sounds like your bestie, your sister bestie, is your safe reviewer. For those of you who have a lot of angst around people reviewing your writing, you first need to send it to someone you feel safe with. Send it to someone who, even if they tear apart your draft, you know it's coming from a place of love and care, like you know they have your back. a lot of you need to do that step first before sending it to your chair, because maybe you don't have the best working relationship with your chair. Maybe they have a harsh tone. Maybe they don't like give a lot of feedback. Like my first advisor would just give you a check mark. If you got a check mark, that means it was okay. If you got a check minus, that means you needed to rewrite it. And if you got a check plus, there's feedback maybe. Now, I don't know if this is the case, but I'm going to use you as an example. Now, if you're getting to the point drafts anymore, like this is not your first time trying to write your literature review and you're still sending it to your bestie, then I would coach you a little bit more. Because we've done your paperwork calling you doctor. And while that is safe and it's great, it's a great strategy to get comfortable meeting with your chair, we still have to do the work of you meeting with your chair. And again, Jackie, I don't know if this is true. I'm just using you as an example. It's the same thing I was saying with Benita. We have to develop the skill. Part of becoming a doctor is developing the skill of submitting your work and having a collegial conversation with someone who is critiquing your work. Because you have to get used to, you're going to be called doctor. You're going to be going in front of people in conferences. People may ask you to, weigh in on policy. Somebody might ask you to consult in their organization. And if you don't know how to stand up and say, here's what I believe we should do, and you can't respond to the feedback or the questions or the critique of what you're saying should be done, what is doctor life going to look like for you? Okay. I know it's ready when I have filled in my outline thoughts with shitty paragraphs, have read it for grammar-ish, and have made sure every paragraph has something structured. I don't know. That's a very clear list though. You know what's included. But here's something I want to add, Danielle, and for anyone else, something I asked Benita. How do you know that what you've outlined for the chapter is what's needed for the chapter? Go with me for a minute. How do you know that what you added in terms of, I'm going to include these articles, I'm going to include these sections. How do you know that that's what you're supposed to include in that document? And I'm sorry for my scatteredness today, y'all, but that's where I'm at on this Good Monday. But how do you know what's supposed to be included? What I see students do, and what I was working with Benita through, is just because you outline it doesn't mean it needs to go in that chapter to call it done. Let me say it again for somebody who's multitasking. Just because you put a section on your outline doesn't mean you need to write that in order to call that chapter done or complete it. The whole point of this title about letting your chair do their job, let your chair do their job, is because y'all are not letting them tell you what they expect of you. You took one sentence that they told you. They may have said something like, only submit completed drafts to me. And you took that to mean, if my draft doesn't look like somebody's finished dissertation, then I cannot submit that to my chair. When that's not what your chair said. Your chair said, just give me a completed draft. What does it mean to have a completed draft? Your chair doesn't most likely know what your outline is. For most of you, your chair doesn't know and doesn't care. No shade, but they don't. So then you're judging yourself based on the outline that you guessed should be included. Let's just go to literature review. You put all these sections in there that you guessed because you didn't know. You never written a dissertation before. You never written a literature review for a dissertation before. So you guessed that all these 20 sections need to be added in a literature review to be a real literature review. And so you're working diligently on that 20-point outline. You're giving it to your friend. You're like, yeah. And you feel good because you're making progress. And let me tell you what I see very often. That person who put in months to work towards that 20-part outline, they give it to their chair, and their chair says, you got to write it over. Or they might say, oh, that's way more than I was expected, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Or this is really unclear. Can you do it over? And then the student has an attitude because they're like, I put all these months, I put all this hours in there. I read it. I gave it to my friend. I gave it to my mentor. I gave it to the faculty over here. And my chair is just going to tell me to write it. They don't support me. They don't care about me. They racist. Fill in the blank. When really what happened is you didn't let them do their job. You asked everybody else to do their job. When you give your drafts to other people, when you ask other people, like, what should I do? You're letting other people do the job of your chair. Your chair's job is to set the expectations. Your chair job is to tell you when you can move forward. But if you're getting it to everyone else, that's not letting them do their job. And let me be clear. I don't think you're doing this from a malicious place. I don't think you're doing this because you're trying to be disrespectful. I think you're doing this because you want to make sure that what you're submitting to your chair is of high quality, that you are able to demonstrate through your draft that you put in the time and the effort that you thought was required for good scholarship. I get that those are your intentions. Howsoever, the impact of you going over here and giving it to this person and going over here and letting this person look at it, the impact of those actions is, for lack of a better phrase, insubordination. Let me try to take it out of the dissertation context. So I have a team, right? And if I was like, hey, team member, can you download my Instagram live and transcribe it? Right? That's all I ask the person to do, is download my live and transcribe it. But if that person goes to the live, they download it, they transcribe it, they start analyzing it, they start making carousels, and they start giving me ideas about what to do on the live, while that might be great that they took the initiative and it might help me, there's also another side to it where I could be like, that is not what I was going to use that transcript for. That transcript was going to be used for somebody else who just needed it, but I needed to delegate it. And so you did all this extra work. While it's nice of you, it's not what I asked you to do. And so now you got an attitude because you did all this extra stuff that I can't use, because that was never the original purpose of me asking you to download the live and get the transcript. Right? This is not a real scenario. I'm just trying to give you an example. That's the equivalent of what you're doing when it comes to your dissertation. You're saying, I know best. My chair told me to give a final draft, so I'm going to make sure I give it to all these people, and they can tell me what their input is. They can tell me what they like and what they don't like. They can tell me what I should change and what I should add. You're listening to all these other people's expectations, and you're doing all of this extra work so that you think you're going to be prepared and good to go when you give it to your chair. But what you find 9 times out of 10 is they're going to say, no, this is not what I asked you to do. And they're going to tell you to rewrite it anyway. And you're going to be upset and hurt because you did all this effort. And you're going to say some version of, well, clearly I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to give them because I did all this stuff. I put so much time into it and it still wasn't good enough. And this is how we start to tell ourselves these stories that really what it came down to, had you just wrote a shitty draft, got it decent enough and turned it into your chair and let them tell you, I like this part, I don't like this part, I think you should add XYZ over here. If you would have done that, you would have been moving through the draft faster because you would have gotten it from the source, the person whose signature matters the most. They would have been able to clearly tell you, this is what I need to see in order for you to defend. But if you're over here telling your mentor and your friend and everybody else, yeah, you're getting their opinion, but like, no shade to them people, their opinions, they don't matter. They're not the ones, the signature is not going on the paperwork. And for those of you who are like, see, this is why I talk to my committee. I'm talking about committee members too. What y'all don't understand is there's an invisible political game when it comes to your committee. Your chair holds the most power. I want y'all to go with me. There's power and there's influence, right? In this dynamic of your committee, so you have your chair, most of the time you have some program faculty, you might have an outside reviewer, you might have a reader, whatever that looks like. The person who holds the most power on the committee is the chair. When you go into your defense, there's a section where they'll say the committee and the chair is going to go and convene in a private room. In that private room, the discussion is this. The chair is saying, hey, committee, you've had 2 weeks to read over this dissertation. What are your major concerns, if any? What type of questions are you going to ask the student? What are your general feelings? Why? Because the chair's job is to think, okay, if this is the general feedback of the committee, how can I help my student? How can I support my student through this defense? And who do I need to look out for? Because they might ask a question that ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about. And who might not like who on the committee? That's your chair's job to think about that. So when you get into the defense, their job is to deal with the political parts and your job is just to present your research. You with me so far? So your chair has the power. If they go back into the room and your chair is like, yeah, I don't know, I don't like it, then you don't pass. If there's a tie between one committee member is thinking you should pass with major revisions, somebody else is thinking you shouldn't pass at all, it goes to the chair. The chair decides if you passed or not. I'm explaining this because it's genuinely, some people don't know. How would you know? Who explained it to you? Your chair has the power, which is why they do not like for you to talk to your committee before you have spoken with them about your work. You might be like, but this is my methodologist. This is my stat person. Yeah, but if your chair didn't give you permission to talk to them, you might be getting yourself in political hot water because your chair has the power. And it is disrespectful to the person with the power when you try to circumvent them and you try to go around them. Again, you're doing it from a place of you're trying to be prepared and you're trying to make sure your drafts are good to go. But the impact of it is you are being disrespectful because you're not honoring the system. Let me pause right there. Can I get a 1 in the chat if this is making sense? Can I get a 1 in the chat if y'all are still here and this is making sense so far about what I'm saying? Now, the second part, remember I said power and influence. While your chair may have the most power in the dynamic, you, my friend, have the most influence. Influence is if you walk in there and you're a defense and you're like, I'm passing or I'm passing, guess what? Everybody gonna sit up and be like, I guess they passing. Let me get it together because they came to be serious. But if you walk in your defense and you're like, I don't know. I mean, I did some interviews. I don't really know what I found. I mean, I talked to some people. There was really great stories. I'm like, nah, they didn't do enough. And all I'm judging both scenarios off of is your energy of how you walk into the room, which is why inside of the Finish Your Dissertation program, that's why we focus so much on what is your energy? What energy are you moving through this process with? You are brilliant. You are smart enough to figure out how to write a literature review. You are smart enough to figure out if you want to do narrative inquiry or phenomenology, right? Like you can figure out, you know who to ask, but you may not know that you need support around project management, the energy you walk, like the confidence you have in yourself, the confidence you have in your writing, and the way that you navigate the relationship with your chair. When you let everybody else but your chair read your writing, you're not allowing your chair to do their job. Their job is to tell you, this is what I expect. I can verbally tell you stuff all day long, but until I see something in writing, you won't fully know what my expectations are. This is why in the group, we submit something every month. The people who are submitting drafts consistently, they're going through the process so fast. Okay, let me give you another example. Camille wrote pretty much a whole proposal. And I was like, yeah, while you spent a lot of time writing this, I have no idea what this is about. And we got similar research areas, girl. And it wasn't because of her knowledge. Hear me. Somebody on here needs to hear this. It's not your knowledge. You know enough. That's not what people are criticizing you or giving you feedback on. It is your clarity and how you express and how you write your ideas, how you build an argument, how you articulate that argument, how you utilize literature to back up that argument. It is really the quality of the writing, and not because like, oh, I'm such an awful writer. No, you're not giving yourself enough time. We do shitty paragraphs because I just need you to put words on a page, because most of your time and energy needs to go towards editing and revising. You're not giving yourself enough time to revise your writing, which is why when you turn it in to anyone, they're like, I don't know what this is, or this isn't clear. Especially when you give it to your chair, they're like, I don't know what this is. Instead of getting upset, instead of getting frustrated, instead of being like, oh, they don't care, be curious. What do you mean you don't understand? What parts of this don't you understand? Where did I lose you in the paragraph? That's what you want to say in the meeting to them. You want to say, you said this was unclear. What part about it was it unclear? Do you not understand the words I'm using? Do I need to provide more examples? Do you need more definitions? That's revision. Is it how I organize the information? Do I need to restructure my paper? That's revising. Is it that, you just need to hear my voice more? Am I doing too much summarizing instead of synthesizing? That's a revising thing. That is not an invitation to go pick up some more articles and start reading. You have to be comfortable with the discomfort of getting feedback. This is what you're signing up for. Okay, I do feel a rant pulling, so let me go look at these things before I get too far off on a rant, because it will be happening before I get off of here. Okay, so y'all are following me. Okay, so the rant, I'm gonna just do the rant. Before I do that, let me be clear. What I want you to do is get a draft, write a shitty draft, get it 75%, turn it in, and let your chair give you feedback. When you submit the email that you're like, hey chair, I'm giving you this draft. I'm asking you to review this for clarity, for structure, and I would love to know what is it that I need to include at a minimum in order for this draft to be prepared for my defense. Let me run it back. What is it that I need to include in this draft for it to be ready for defense? I'm fully prepared to do the work and as many revisions as it's going to take, but I'm asking for pointed, clear, what needs to be included in this draft for me to be prepared for the defense. That is how you know, oh, I just need to focus on these things in order to defend. You know what we're not doing? We're not asking our mentor. We're not asking some other faculty. We're asking the persons whose signature matters the most, what would they like to see in this draft? Most people can't tell you what their expectations are. It is easier to tell you what I want once I have something in my hands. It is much harder to write a rubric from nothing before seeing your work. So you who are hoarding your writing, you who thinks it's not good enough, it's not ready to go, you're slowing yourself down. If you can just make peace with the fact, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable to get feedback. Yes, it is hard to have somebody look at your writing and tear it apart. But that's what you signed up for. That's what it means to be a doctor. And I get that some of y'all have some stories, like I have stories. I had multiple faculty members tell me my writing was trash. I had multiple people tell me that they didn't think I belonged in a PhD program because of the quality of my writing. What I know on this side of things, that it is not about my writing as it is about, do I feel regulated enough to write? Do I feel safe enough to submit my writing? Do I feel like I have enough time to work on my, to revise my words and get it to be the way I want it to be? Those are the questions we need to ask. You don't need to read another thing. Stop reading. Everybody, stop it. Put words on the page. I'm trying not to yell too much. Put words on the page. Give yourself enough time to revise and turn it in. You have 4 weeks, every 30 days. Turn in something and get feedback. I didn't finish my thought from earlier. I was talking about Camille, but turn it in. So to go back to Camille, remember her draft was all over the place. I was like, rewrite this. She rewrote her literature review, her methods chapter, in probably a month, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, both of them. The version she submitted this time, her chair was like, oh, this is beautiful. I don't even think he was like, it's good to go. Just give me a graphic here and a citation here and you're good to go. The rewriting was her brain dumping. Cause y'all think I'd be gassing you up with the shitty paragraph. I really know. I just sat on the call with her and I said, just write. You're just gonna write. Write whatever comes to your head. And I would give her a question, like her topic is around Black women in corporate America who are considering leaving their job for entrepreneurship. She wants to know their experiences. I'm like, just write it how you feel it. Just write everything that you know to be true. And it's when she wrote the shitty paragraph version that her chair was like, it's good to go. When she wrote the version that she did at first, where she read all these 50 billion articles and she gave it to this person and she gave it to that person, her chair was confused. That's what's happening with most of you. Your chair is confused. When you trust yourself and you just allow yourself to put words on a page and you turn them in. Yeah. And here's the thing, y'all. People always ask me, like, how do you know your program will work for me? Or what if it doesn't work? And let me tell you who it doesn't work for. It doesn't work for people who rather stay in their struggle. Y'all, I'm on one today. Rather stay in their struggle and keep doing the same shit over and over because they think it's going to work this time. And I'm always confused. I'm like, you've been doing this for years and it hasn't worked. Why do you keep doing the same thing over and over? Why do you keep downloading 100 articles? Why do you keep taking out whole weekends to go to writing retreats just to read 50 articles? Why is your notebook full of citations and notes you ain't gonna never remember or look back on? The only thing you need to do is put words on a page. Most of you have read everything there is to read, which is why I say stop reading. Most of you have been thinking about this topic for decades. Most of you have been doing this work. You live this work. You don't trust yourself to put words on a page. Like, you don't trust yourself that what you write about it is true or is the right way to do it. And you trust a person who ain't read not one article, has no idea about your topic. You trust them to tell you if you're doing it right or not. Like, when y'all giving it to these random people, and even your chair, which is what I had to tell Camille and Benita today, and even your chair won't know that you're doing it right. Let me ask the question in this way. All of you, if you submit your writing to your chair, how would they know if you did it right or not? Like, this is a question. How would they know? I asked you earlier, how do you know? But how do they know? How do they know if you did it right or not? How do they know if you included all the relevant literature, especially if it's not their area of study? People don't like when I ask questions like this, but the reason why I ask questions like this is because y'all are over here doing all this work and you're putting in all this time and you don't know why you're doing it. You say you're doing it because you want to do it the right way, but you never define what the right way is. You have no idea what you're working towards. And so you just put all this energy in it for what? Okay, let me stop ranting. What questions do we have? Let me know in the chat. Put a 1. If you don't have a question, put a 1 in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. If this is resonating with your experience. Please. So either let me know your question or put a 1 in the chat if this is resonating. I'm getting so passionate and yelling because y'all, like, I care so much about y'all. You have no idea how frustrated I get because I see such brilliant people, such brilliance. And the only thing that's holding you back, the only reason why you're not moving faster, the only reason why you're not getting those awards, you're not getting those fellowships, you're not getting those grants, it just comes down to self-trust. That may feel like that's too easy of an answer, but it really, you don't see how great you are. You don't see how when you walk into a room, the whole energy shifts. And you might be like, girl, you don't even know me. You here. I know you. You have no idea how much people hang on every word you say because you're too busy in your mind thinking like, did I say that right? Did I do that right? Do they know I'm not supposed to be here? Is this going to be the moment they kick me out the program? Because you're so busy having that conversation, you don't realize that you are not that same person who came into the program. You are not the same person from the first year, first semester. You are completely different. You have read more, you have experienced more, you have written more. Like, you are not the same person. You just keep operating as if you are, but you're not. You could write this dissertation in a weekend. I'm talking to you. And y'all see that Chris is here, okay? Because y'all know you've been around. I gave Chris the challenge of doing a proposal in June. Been working consistently. But they have done a dissertation before, at least for the format. They've done a dissertation before, that's true, Chris, but have they done your topic? Here's what I'm saying. If you're focusing on, did I read enough? Because this is a conversation we had earlier, right, Chris? Like, if you are focused on, did I read my entire reading list and did I incorporate my reading list? You're so busy focused on that you haven't asked yourself the question, do they even understand the reading on the list? Did they even read the things on the list? So if they didn't, how would they know that the arguments I'm making even make sense or not? The only way that they know that is the clarity of my writing and my energy and how I present my argument. Let me say it again. Let me go back over it again. If everybody's focus is, let me read the 50 articles or 100 articles to make sure I'm doing it right, to make sure I have the right material, let's say in the literature review, but your chair and your committee didn't do that same reading, and especially if they're not even in the same type of research area, how would they know if you included the right things from these 50 or 100 articles into your document? I'm not saying this because I'm trying to tell you to cheat the system. I mean, you can do whatever you want to, you're grown. I'm saying this to say, like, let yourself off the hook. Reduce your pressure that you're putting on yourself. Because you're like, if I don't include every single thing from all these articles, they're going to know and they're going to fail me. How? How? If you're the only one doing the reading, how would they know? If they don't know, then they're dependent on you to tell them. So then it would behoove you, right, to focus on, let me make sure I'm clear and how I relate this information more than it is, let me do all this reading. If y'all are not following me, let me know. You have to let your chair do their jobs, y'all. Their job is to read your writing and to tell you, do this, change this, or rework this area. And then your job is to take that feedback, read it, make sure you understand what they're saying, and then incorporate it. But if you decide you don't want to incorporate their feedback, at least having a response as to why you're not. Because you and your chair are colleagues. Yeah, I don't care what power dynamic exists, you're colleagues. The only difference between you and your chair is a signed piece of paper. They're a colleague who have graciously decided to help you do this dissertation for the first time, to conduct research for the first time. It's not about, oh, they're all knowing, and that's why they're like graciously helping you. No, they may have more research experience, but it doesn't mean that they know more than you. Some of y'all are conflating the two. Just because I have more experience doesn't mean I have more knowledge, especially when it comes to your content. Okay. If y'all are new to me, you're probably like, girl, what is happening? Welcome to the Qual Scholars Way. Okay, let me organize this. If we're going to let our chairs do their jobs, that means we're going to communicate with them consistently. I would love for you to work up to emailing your chair at least once a week. In that email, you're going to say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, this week I was working on XYZ. So this week I was working on the policy section of my literature review. I plan to have that wrapped up and ready for you to review by next Friday. Next week, after I'm finished with this policy section, I'm thinking I'm going to move on to the theory section, but I would love to know your thoughts about that. I don't have any questions this week. I just wanted to keep you updated. Boom. If you do that every week, and then at the end of the month, you go, please see my literature review for your feedback. In particular, I would love for you to focus on clarity of writing and ideas, structure of my argument, and any thoughts that you may have about the examples I use. I have hired an editor, so I'll do the grammar and the mechanics stuff with the editor, but I want you to just focus on these 3 points. Do y'all feel my energy in these emails? You know what I'm not doing? Hey, Dr. So-and-so, yeah, I know you're so busy, but if you could just do this, and I don't really know, I just added some points. I put some things in some comments and some track changes to let you know what I was thinking. I might add this, I might add that. That sounds like too much work. I don't want to do that. As a faculty, as someone who, listen, okay, because it's summertime. I want to be outside just like you want to be outside. What makes you think I want to sit here and read your struggle draft? I don't. But if you write it from the energy of, this is what I want you to focus on, now you're helping me to help you. Now you're letting me do my job, but you're giving me some guidance around. And I know what you're up to. When you are communicating with me every week and you're sending me something every month, you know what I think? Oh, this student is serious. This student is ready to graduate. This student, I'm matching energy. If you showing up like this, I'm showing up like that. But when you go ghost, you don't even wave at your chair. You haven't even uttered your chair's name in the past 3 months. How are they supposed to help you? How are they supposed to show up for you? How are they supposed to guide you through the process? They can't do their jobs because you are nowhere to be found. Because you know what you're doing in those 3 months? You're giving it to everybody else but the person who matters the most. You're not giving them their job. And then that way you're being disrespectful because you're letting everybody else do their job when their job is to help you. And that is why when you finally do decide to like show up and go talk to them, they're like, yeah, you gotta wait in line. I heard from you. And if you leave humans to assume what's happening, we're gonna always assume the worst case scenario. Said another way, if you leave it to your chair to assume what you're doing, they're going to assume you're not reading, you're not writing, you're not working. When you have probably been putting in more hours than you ever have for anything academic, but they don't have any information to go off of. And yeah, you can come back months later and say, I have been working, but girl, I ain't heard from you. You ain't wrote me an email, you ain't called me, you ain't sent a smoke signal. How am I supposed to know that you were over here working? And especially when you give me this draft that you've been working on for months that's like unclear. It's a bunch of big ideas. Yeah, you wrote a lot of words, but I still don't know what you're saying because it wasn't clear. Listen to what I'm saying. It's not because you don't know enough. It's because it wasn't clear. Because you gave it to everybody else who was focused on content and we were not focusing on how we delivered the argument in the draft. Okay, let me stop. I didn't have to bring out the hard bottom loafer. What colleague? Listen, you know what, Chris? I love this. I'm gonna have a whole like different personas on these lives. But it's true though. Y'all need to stop looking at these people like they're so all powerful and all knowing. Cause okay, I'm going here. Chris, I need to put on my black Air Force Ones. Let me take a sip of water. You're over here doing research about the system this, oppression that, you know, people on the margins. We got to be more inclusive. We got to stop being so oppressive. You over here writing all these beautiful words, yet in practice, that's not what you're not about this life. You're not about it. In practice, you're like, I won't be able to make it unless the person in power says I can, unless my chair approves of me. And you're not talking about your writing. If my chair doesn't think I'm a good scholar, if my chair doesn't think I'm a good writer, if the faculty of the program don't respect me, if I can't go to this conference and schmooze with this person, then I don't belong here. Then I'm not supposed to be a doctor. When you're having conversations like that, make it make sense for me. How is that the same person who's writing, who's crafting research around resisting oppression, resisting those who have the most power and privilege, when in practice, you're saying the only way that you could believe yourself to be a doctor, the only way that you can be confident in your ability and in yourself, the only way you can see value in yourself is if the people in power approve of you, even though you're doing research to say we don't need to care about their power or their approval. I just want somebody to make it make sense for me. I'm trying to let me say this a different way. You're becoming the very thing you claim to be fighting in your research. Do you think that your faculty started out the way that they are right now? They were students just like you who was like, fight the power, bring down the system. But because they got caught up in the higher education system where credentials matter, titles matter, who's sitting next to who matters, who goes to what pedigree of school matters. When your whole world is doctor this and doctor that, you start to lose perspective. You start to think that, oh, the only way I matter as a person is if I have doctor in front of my name. The only way I can be legitimate and chase after my dreams of speaking and publishing and consulting is to have EDD or PhD after my name. The only way somebody's going to listen to me, evaluate what I have to say, is if I have the titles. And I'm like, who said? Who said that? The people who are running the system said that? Well, of course they would say that because they want to maintain their power and their privilege. But there are people out here every single day doing the exact things that you think you need a terminal degree to do. There are people out here speaking. There are people out here publishing. Okay, my brother wrote a whole book right? And this is no shade to my brother in terms of his education level. It just tickles me, all right? Because he wrote a book about why men cheat. We're going to have another conversation about that later, okay? But he wrote a book about why men cheat. It should not see the light of day. But it made me think, anybody can write a book. Anybody can publish a book. Many of the people on the New York bestsellers list don't got nobody's degrees, ain't got nobody's credentials. But yet you can stay in your struggle and keep telling yourself the story that the only way that I could publish is to have these letters. There are plenty of speakers who started out by going to elementary schools and going to prisons and speaking at their local churches and putting in the work, putting in the grind, and now they're on stages getting 50,000, 70,000, 100,000 a speech. They got nobody's degree, nobody's letters. I'm in the online business space. The amount of businesses. Okay, let me tell you about 2019. 2019 was a very pivotal year for me, but I remember going to this conference because I was being really intentional about who I was learning from. And person after person, when you go up to like ask a question of the speaker, they wanted you to say, what is your name and what is your business? Person after person was like, I help people after they get off of parole. I help women go from the pole to the bar. I help people collect child support. None of these have nothing to do with credentials. It is about, do I have a problem that I can solve that people would pay me for? I'm going down this rabbit hole because I am trying to say to you, all the things you think you need this degree for, all the things you think you need the letters for, you're lying to yourself. You don't need it. You think that you're going to feel more confident. You think you're going to feel more legitimate when people are calling you doctor. You won't. You won't. In fact, you're going to have even more imposter syndrome. And if there's some doctors on this call, I don't know, chime in. Maybe I'm just over here off. But after the hundreds of people that I'm talking to, like after the hundreds of people I've helped go through this process, I say it every single time. I say, hey, after this dissertation, after you graduate, you're not going to feel the way you think you're going to feel. You're not going to be as confident as you think you're going to be. You're not going to feel as ready to call yourself doctor. You're going to want to hide. And they're like, not me. Can't be me. I work too hard. Can't be me. I'm going to be good to go. 3 months later, my DMs say, you were right. I know. Because if you never did the work throughout this process to have confidence in yourself, to see value in yourself, to already know you the shit, you already can do everything you want to do and more. Most of you, let's be honest, because I could hear this in my head. Somebody's like, well, I want to be a tenure track faculty, so I do need to be doctor to do that. And you're right. But you're in a very small minority of people who actually want to do that job, like who actually enjoys the research and the writing and the teaching. You're in a minority. But like most of you only want a tenure track position because you have figured out, that's a way I could be an entrepreneur without the risk. I don't have the risk of like making sure I get paid every month because the school's going to pay me. I don't have to have the risk of finding my own clients because the school's going to give me clients. Like if you're going, like, let's be honest. That's why you really want to be somebody's tenure track faculty. You don't really care about no like research and writing like that. No, you and your brilliant brain has figured out, that's a safe way to do entrepreneurship. I don't have to have none of the risk, but I get all the freedom. I'm saying this to say, we got to be honest about what we really are doing here. Most of you are in these programs because you're looking for validation. You're looking for someone to say, I see you. You're so brilliant. You deserve to be here. And the reason why you're having a hard time making progress on your dissertation is because no one has said that. And in fact, they've done the opposite. And you think there's something wrong with you. And there's nothing wrong with you. You were not meant to fit into the system. It wasn't created for us. We didn't create this shit. I mean, we improved it, right? Like, we are the reason why it's still going, but we didn't create it. We didn't set the rules. So why do you keep looking for a system that sees you less than, that doesn't even see you as human, to validate you? Now, I know some of y'all are like, how we get here? We were supposed to be talking about chairs. Because I'm trying to communicate to you the reason why you're most likely not meeting with your chair is because you think that your chair is supposed to validate your existence as a person, when your chair's job is to give you feedback on your writing and to tell you if your scholarship is strong or not. They're not there to tell you, oh, you are amazing. They're not there to tell you, you deserve to be doctor. They're not there to tell you, like, oh, you're doing it all right. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. Wait, I'm missing a conversation. Hey, Bernard. Thank you so much. Congratulations, doctor. That's amazing. I knew it was coming up, but I didn't realize it was last week. So I'm so excited. And I'm trying to remember to like follow up in DMs because I just want to hear more about how it went for you. Listen, I love my chair too. I think some people think, and I'm not saying this is you, I think it's K Gifted. I'm not saying you're saying this, but I think a lot of people hear me talk about how we need to have these clear boundaries with chairs and how we need to manage up. And I think sometimes people think I had an awful experience with my chair. I could call my chair up right now and be like, girl, what you doing? Most likely she's on somebody's mountain. She'd be doing those white people activities, you know, like 50-mile races. I don't like, in my heart of hearts, I one day want to be able to do a 50-mile race, but you know, it's just some things. I don't need to be in nobody's mountains trying to do that. And like, I'm gonna get lost. It's gonna be a whole thing. Right, but I could call her right now and most likely that's what she's doing. Like, I practically lived at her house as I was avoiding writing my dissertation. Like, I left my chair down. I will fight you over her, okay? And I know that in what I needed to do, like in order for her to help me, I had to give her something. I had to show up with something. I had to tell her this is what I'm thinking or this is what I need. I had to verbalize my expectations. I could not expect her to be everything to me in a dissertation process. And she, like, y'all, let me tell you, she is the reason why I know qualitative research the way I do, and I still couldn't expect her to be everything for me in this process. She is the most supportive. Did you hear me? I said I practically live with her. I still couldn't expect her to be everything to me. I still needed community. I still needed other people to help me figure out my thoughts and get clear. I still needed friends to be like, did you show up to that writing session? I could not expect my chair to do all of that. Her job was to give me feedback on the overall dissertation. It was my job to figure out how to fill in everything in between. Most of you are blocking your blessing and you're refusing to work with a coach because you're like, I have my chair. What do I need a coach for? And while I can't speak to them other dissertation coaches, I can tell you what I will do for you. Yeah, your chair got you on the research end. What about the project management? What are you supposed to do today versus tomorrow? How are you supposed to write a chapter in 30 days? Today on a call, I literally coached someone about how to write an email to their chair. Can you go to your chair and be like, how do I write an email? Most likely no. What was it? The other day, someone said, my chair is not listening to me. They're not working with me. How do I get additional assistance? Got you. Here's the people you need to go talk to. It's these people on campus who do you go to talk to for these answers? Right? Who do you go to talk to say, I know I'm supposed to be writing, I know the literature review, you want it to be like, 30, 40 pages. I know I have my outline, but how do I translate my notes into the pages? Do you go talk to your chair about? Now, some of you have that relationship where you can talk, but a lot of us don't. I mean, my chair was like, I asked her so many random questions. She was so sick of me. But is your chair someone that you can say, I keep trying to use this word, but maybe it's supposed to be this word. Am I doing that right? Or I'm trying to think of something else. I was coaching someone earlier who said, for the past 2 weeks, I wasn't able to write because I had to do these things for my kids. And while I know it was for a good reason, I just feel like I should have done more. Is that wrong of me to feel that way? And then I helped them to process it. If anybody is curious, how I helped them to process is to say, okay, what was the situation? What was the facts of the situation? Why did you make the decision not to write for 2 weeks? Do you like your reasons for not writing for 2 weeks? Yes or no? That is how we process through that. But who can you go to process? For those of you who do not know, my background, my degrees, is in something called student affairs. We are the people on college campuses who are we randomly bump into you in the student union, or you might be in your residence hall and the lounge, just trying to like breathe and be you. And we are the people who are like, hey, what's your name? My name is Marvette. What you doing? You want to come to a pizza party? I got a pizza party for you. Right? Because I'm trying to get you to learn the rules of the residence hall, but I need you to think that it's a pizza party. Right? If y'all know what I'm talking about, that's where I come from. We learn how to create learning environments that are fun, but also highly valuable in terms of you are learning. I have a master's degree and a PhD in how college students think, what environments they need to function in, and what sets a good learning, a safe learning environment for students. That's what my background is. So the program that I designed, you will finish your dissertation, but the work that you're really going to be doing is, what's the conversation you have with yourself? Do you see yourself as a doctor right now? Because you are a doctor. You need to act like it. What we talk about is, how do you walk into the room with your head up high, shoulders upright, and being like, this is my work. You're passing me. I don't know what agenda you got, committee member, but I'm passing. And to be so certain about it. Right? Who's like, the program is helping you to get to that place where you can do that and don't feel like you're performing. Like, I love watching students go to defend. I'm like, you better say that shit. I'd be like, secretly, if they'll let me come to their defenses, depending on rules or whatnot, I am in the audience being like, yes, say it that way. What we do on a weekly basis is I teach you how to work. Let me break down what I mean by that. You think you know how to work. Most people, like your friends, your family, they probably real impressed with you. They're probably like, oh, you always doing something. How you can do I'm not impressed. And I don't mean that in that you're not doing, like you're not working a lot. I'm not saying that. I just know that you're probably doing about 25% of what you're capable of. Because you are most likely really smart. You know how to figure things out. You're the go-to person, right? You're the strong friend. You're the one everybody asks advice to. You're the one who always got a plan, or you know somebody who can do XYZ. You're the go-to person. And when you're usually that person, people don't challenge you. They don't know how to push you. The best thing that my chair ever did, even though to this day I still kind of want to fight her on it a low key. The best thing that she ever did to me was to tell me I had 2 months to write my dissertation. Let me be clear. It is like Thanksgiving of 2016, and my chair says, hey girl, I need a full draft of your dissertation by March 6th. It is Thanksgiving. I haven't filed an IRB. I haven't done an interview. I haven't written a word on anybody's findings or discussion. I don't have anything. And she says, I need a full draft by March 6th. What now? Girl, it's the end of the semester. What do you mean? But it's the best thing she could have ever done for me, because it taught me how small I was playing. Because when I turned in that draft on March 6th, I said, I'm never, that's what I said in the moment. It wasn't true, but I'm never questioning what I'm capable of ever again. I'm like, bitch, you did a whole dissertation in 2 months? Now, I hope you don't have no little people around, because we here. That's what I said to myself. On April 11th of 2017, when I successfully defended my dissertation, I was like, bitch, do you realize December you didn't have nothing? I didn't get IRB approval until January 2nd of 2017. January 3rd, though, I was like, we outside, pull up. We got to do this. And I collected my data in January. I just ran it back to back. In February, I was like, let's analyze this a little bit. Let's go back to the people, ask them about their opinions, and let's write this up. Now, I did turn in a complete draft on March 6th. Was it ready to be defended? No, it was shitty. It was real shitty. But it was a draft. And most of you wouldn't even submit the shitty draft. You would get to March 6th and be like, well, it don't look like a finished one, so I can't turn it in. I was like, girl, you said a draft. You said a full draft. Technically, is it a full draft? It is. Do I have some major revisions to do? I do. But she built that into her system. Because I trust my chair, and because I trust her to do her job, I just did what she asked me to do, which was to give her a full draft of my dissertation by March 6th. So when I gave it to her and she turned it back around on March 10th and said, fix all these things, we were able to do that all the way to March until it was time for me to turn it in, I think on like March 28th or something, to my committee in preparation for my defense. The shitty draft is to move you along. But she taught me the more valuable lesson is, girl, I've been playing small. I'm capable. And you have been playing small. You are the one hyping up this dissertation or this doctoral program in your mind. You the one think that it's supposed to be this very hard, challenging task. Why do you think it's going to be challenging when school has never been challenging for you? I'm talking to those people who, because most of the people who hang around me are counselors, therapists, and teachers or educators. I'm talking to you. Have you ever really struggled? No, let's go back. Have you really struggled academically? Like, no. I'm talking about like you were completely confused. Okay, because there was, what was that class? Organic chemistry. It was the only class that I could be like, organic chemistry and physical chemistry were the classes I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not smart because I don't even know we're not even using numbers no more. But that was it. Out of all of the grades and the classes and the degrees, those were the only 2 times I was like, maybe not. But I want you to think about, have you really, like, for real, have you ever struggled academically or did you struggle with the people part? 2 different things. Most of you don't know what an academic challenge is. Most of you just flew through school. School is your favorite hobby. That's why you got a doctor, like that's why you're in a doctoral program, because you're like, oh, I love learning, because it wasn't challenging for you. And now that it's getting a little bit hard, you want to go running. Now that you finally met an academic challenge, which is really not an academic challenge, but I digress. Now you want to be like, oh, something's wrong. You just need to go to the next level. I teach you how to be disciplined and consistent in a way that you've never been before. I teach you how to take 10 hours every week and produce 40 hours of work. Because some of y'all are getting it real twisted. I teach you how to take 10 hours. And what it takes people like months to do, you can do in 10 hours. Chris, trying to be humble, said, oh, I'm still writing. There's a solid proposal there. In 1 month, Chris wrote a shitty draft of a proposal in 1 month. Why? Because I was like, I don't know what you're doing. Stop playing. You need to write this proposal in a month. I did it on a live like this. Why? Because I recognize that Chris is brilliant. Chris did the reading, and Chris has everything they need to write a proposal. The only thing, not having a person who was willing to push and be like, go write it. You most likely don't have a person in your life who's not getting distracted by all your brilliance and all your creativity and your ability to manage all these things. Most of the people in your life, they just feel like, oh, I don't even know. I'm not. Work harder. And I don't mean do more. I mean actually work. Stop trying to fix everybody else's life. Stop trying to solve everybody else's problems. Stop trying to be there for this person and do this and show up here, and focus on you. What are your goals? What do you want? This dissertation is nothing. What comes after the dissertation? What are we doing after this degree? You're going to graduate, and what does being a doctor look like? Right? I'm thinking about Dr. Candace Henry, who's on the team, who's one of the coaches in the program. I'm going to go back to December of 2022. December 2022, she was like, I need to leave my job because I'm not going to be able to finish my dissertation if I stay at this job. She's like, but they're saying I could work part-time, or I think I should have a job before I leave this job. And me being me, I said, leave the job. Go ahead and leave it. Everybody on the call was like, I'm sorry, are you telling her to leave her job? I am. I'm not saying that from a reckless place. I'm saying it because, oh, you're here, girl. Hey, girl. I'm saying it because I heard something in her. I heard the passion. I heard the determination. And I also heard, based on what she was sharing with me, this job sees it too. The job sees, though, and I need somebody to catch this. The job saw that she was brilliant and that she was highly capable, and she executed at a level that most employees did not execute at. And they did not want to lose their biggest asset. They saw her as an asset. And so they were trying to give her things like part-time work or phrase it as consulting because they knew she wanted a business. They knew that was part of her dream. And just like any other fuckboy would do, They slide up and tell you sweet nothings in your ear. Like, yeah, we'll do part-time. And what I told her is like, it's not going to be part-time. They're going to expect full-time work on part-time hours. One, but two, because you are a Black woman. Okay, you're a high-achieving Black woman. Your 10 hours is not everybody else's 10 hours. Right? I'm coaching her through this. 10 hours is not everybody else's 10 hours. So while they might be like, yeah, we only need a few hours here and there, what you're going to provide for them will far exceed 2 full-time employees. So yeah, I would be willing to give you part-time pay because you're brilliant and you don't know it. And that's the best type of people you want to work with when you want to be manipulative and you want to be exploitative, is to find someone who doesn't know that they're brilliant. Find someone who doesn't know the value that they bring. Your academic programs, let me make sure everybody's still following me. Your academic programs know you're brilliant. How do you think institutions run? How do you think they make their money? How do you think they make their mark? From doctoral students doing emergent, beautiful work for free. But I digress, right? So I told Dr. Henry that, and she looked at me, but she left. She left. Guess what, y'all? She a whole ass doctor. Not only a whole ass doctor with a beautiful dissertation, she has a whole conceptual framework, like a model that is going to be the what is the word I want to use? The bedrock, like the foundation of her consulting business. She has already made, is it thousands of dollars? I'm not gonna put the number out. She was doing that really before, she was getting offers before graduating. Why? Because it takes somebody who recognizes it, who's not trying to exploit you, who's not trying to use you to be like, go harder, go do that, push. Most people would tell her, well, you left your job, so you should focus all your time and your attention on making sure your dissertation is done. You shouldn't worry about a business. You shouldn't worry about making money. No, I'm not saying it's an either or. I'm saying it's a both and. Please put a 1 in the chat, because I want to make sure I'm not losing y'all. Because I know I like but I think we all know spicy over here, so I think y'all are following me, but just in case, put a 1 in the chat if you're still following me. What I'm saying, what I did with Dr. Henry, Erica, who's on this call, all I simply said was, you playing. Why are you playing over here? Why are you doing that? Go harder. Because I saw how much it did for me with my chair. Now, will I tell anybody to do a dissertation in 2 months? Absolutely the fuck not. No, don't do it. Do not do that, okay? Please don't, because the cost, because I want to be honest with this story. While it's a cool story to say, it cost me a lot in health-wise, which is why I set up the program in a way. I needed someone to say, how are you feeling? What is your confidence like? Did you go to sleep? Did you drink some water? Are you taking care of yourself? But because I didn't have that in my process, I did finish it in 2 months, but it was at a cost of me. Dr. Henry, Erica, Chris, and I think Danielle is even still on this call. I don't know if she's still on the call or not. But students inside the Finish Your Dissertation program, they learn to produce at a high level while building up their confidence, while taking care of themselves more, by taking more time off. That's essentially what I'm sharing with this whole story about Dr. Henry. I'm saying I'm going to challenge you to work and show up, but that is not going to come at the expense of who you are and your health and your well-being. When you get done with this program and people are calling you doctor, they're going to be like, first of all, why you look so good? You've been drinking your water, girl. Yes. They're going to be like, why are you so confident? Why are you so sure of yourself? Because I was in the Finish Your Dissertation program. Yeah, I'm talking shit because I got receipts to back it up. Hundreds of names to back it up. I was just telling a team member today, oh, they thought I was reckless before. I am on a mission like no other right now. Because I just desperately want other Black women to see. Do you know how brilliant do you know what you bring into a space? You don't know. That's why you need to be in this group. You're not in this group because you don't know how to write a literature review. We definitely don't help you, but you're in this group because you know deep down, you're smarter than most people. You work harder than most people, but you can't quite figure out, but why am I not winning like other people? Why am I not getting the respect I deserve? That's not going to come with a piece of paper calling you doctor. That's an inside job. That's something you have to put in the hours of, what do I believe about myself? What do I believe is possible for my future? What do I want? What do you want? Can everybody in the chat tell me one thing you want? What do you want for the next 6 months? What do you want for yourself? Do not tell me things like, God willing, I'm going to finish this dissertation. No, I want you to say it proudly. What do you want? It's one of the most challenging questions to answer. Give me one thing that you want for the next 6 months. What do you want for your life? What do you want? What do you want? Kendra said, I want to, yes, finish this dissertation, but I really want a business. I said, bet. Let's go get it. Let's get it. I can work with that. What does restoration look like? What does that look like, doctor? Tell me, what does an average Tuesday, Bernard, look like if you have restoration? What is something that you would normally be doing on a regular Tuesday? What is something you would be feeling or thinking? Tell me, what does restoration look like? What is everybody else's answers? What do you want? In the next 6 months, what do you want? Before 2024 is over, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want for yourself? Do you want to go travel somewhere? Do you want to start a podcast? What do you want? Most of you think this degree is going to make you feel a certain way, and it's not. How many goals have you accomplished? How many degrees have you earned? How many certifications have you signed up for, and you still are no closer to feeling confident? You're still no closer to feeling legitimate. You're still no closer thinking that people respect you. Because the way my feelings was hurt when I graduated and got somebody's director position and people still didn't respect me, I said, oh, this is a setup. That was the last piece for me. And I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm gonna do what I want to do. And that is where I decided, and this is real talk. I could tell you the street I was on. I could go back to the moment where I decided in 5 years, I am going to have the best dissertation community. I am going to have a team full of Black women, doctors, and students helping me build this thing. That is going to set me up to have different community centers across the globe where Black women get to show up and just be themselves. That is what I was dreaming about while I was walking in cold-ass Milwaukee, Wisconsin to my job. When I was like, higher education is not going to save me. I don't give a fuck about me. What do I want to do? I want this business. And I gave myself 5 years. Where are we? What is the reality I'm living? That exact one that I said to myself as I was walking. This is why I'm asking you the question. What do you want? Because when you are clear about this is what I want, your brain goes to work. Most of you haven't been dreaming, which is why you're bored. It's not that you're overwhelmed or like stuck. You're bored. Most of you are bored. Let me say it again. Most of you are bored and you just think it's because you're confused or you're stuck. No, you're bored. You don't have a challenge. Because even in my like ridiculous story that I would say of me doing my dissertation in 2 months, who also was like, I should start a business. Girl, what? Your chair gave you 2 months to do IRB, collect the data, analyze it, write it up, and you talking about you're going to start a business? It did. In Starbucks, I would give myself, this was my system. I would say for 45 minutes, I can work on this chapter. And for 15 minutes, I can watch a business training. And I would do that for 4, 5, 7, 10 hours a day. Because it's what I needed. Because the dissertation at that point was starting to get boring. Because I knew I was going to get it done. I knew it was just a matter of time. But I needed something to engage my creativity and my dreaming spirit. So I was like, business. I want a business. Okay, what do we got? Finish and defended proposal. Check. Freedom, peace of mind, respect. Okay, Hafsa, tell me. What does it look like? How will you know on an average Tuesday? Imagine it's an average Tuesday. How will you know that you have freedom, you have peace of mind, you have respect? What is it in your environment that you notice? What words are you hearing other people say? What are you saying to yourself? What are the behaviors you're doing or not doing? What does it look like to have freedom, peace of mind, and respect? L is going to have a defended proposal, period. I'm going to give you a different example. So when I was doing my goals for 2024, I was like, yeah, this is the year where I'm going to go harder. I'm going to go live more. I'm going to revive this podcast. I have 2 podcasts, by the way. But one of the things, how I knew, like I wanted to get to the end of 2024 and I wanted to be able to hear phrases from people or DMs or emails that said, I'm not even writing a dissertation and I listen to you. That's a marker for me of success. I'm looking for the phrase, I'm not even writing a dissertation and I listen to your show every week. That is my benchmark of success. That's how I know that I did that. Right? Because it gives me something tangible to listen out for. Now, there's some other markers, but I want to give you that example. So when you say things like freedom, how do you know that you are experiencing freedom? It might be, I don't have to clock in and out of a job. It might be, I wake up without an alarm clock. It might be, I decide what clothes I'm going to wear, and I don't think about what so-and-so is going to think about it. It might be, I'm going to defend my proposal by December, even though my chair thinks I'm not going to do it until May, right? What does freedom look like? We just got to define it. It doesn't have to be anybody else's definition, but it's important for us to define it for ourselves because you think that you're going to know it when you experience it. And what I can't tell you enough is that most of the time, 9.9 times out of 10, when you get your dream, it does not feel the way you think it's going to feel. So when you're graduating, when you're on that stage and you're getting hooded, it's not going to feel the way you think it's going to feel. Because the way you think it's going to feel is not informed by like experience. You haven't done it before. So you're guessing, you're hyping yourself up in your head. And we need that to keep ourselves moving forward. However, when we are in the reality of being doctor, being hooded, or having freedom, it's not going to feel like the version we created in our minds. It's going to feel like it feels. I coach. This is just one of my many businesses, y'all. It's just one of my business. I also coach business owners. I coach people who are making 7 and 8 figures. Okay, let me make sure I'm talking about millions, 10 million, 20 million. I coach people at that level too. Why? Because I said I'm not impressed. I'm helping you go to the next level. And I can tell you, even people at that level making that type of money, they don't feel like they're making $20 million a year. They don't feel successful. They still feel like there's things I don't know. Somebody's going to know that I said it wrong. They still have imposter syndrome. They still question if they're doing enough. This is an inside job. There are people who I helped them finish their dissertation and now they are tenured. They're going up for tenure and they're still like, do I know enough? Is my writing good enough? Do people respect me? And do I know what I'm doing? They're still questioning. I'm trying to normalize that for y'all because you think, oh, when I'm a doctor, of course I'm going to be confident in my writing. When people are calling me doctor, of course I'm going to just know what. No, you are still going to be you. You're just going to have a title. Okay. Yes, all what you said, you touched it. Also, not to be shallow, but financial stability. I just need to recharge and find a new path. Is that shallow or is that about you taking care of a basic need? It's okay. It's okay for that to be a goal. Because let me tell you, sometimes my goals are, girl, get up, take a shower, change your clothes. And it takes me all day to do that. That's real. Right? I'm not saying that's what you're saying. But okay, and you don't have to tell me, but I'm just going to ask you some questions for you to write down. What does financial stability look like? How much money is coming in every month? How much money is going out every month? How much money do you have in your regular checking account? How much money do you have in your savings account? Do you have a different savings account? Like I don't know, what's one of those bank accounts where you can't touch it and you got to sit there for 10 years? I don't know, the word is escaping me right now. Are you investing? Are there like stocks? Are you investing in real estate? Are you buying, I don't know, other appreciating assets? Like, what does it mean? What does financial stability look like? Is financial stability, because real talk, sometimes financial stability looks like, I just want to go, and I'm putting this in my context, I just want to go to McDonald's and I have to take my bank account balance. I just want to be able to go and buy necessities like menstrual hygiene products or lotion and not have to check my bank account balance. I just want to, do Megan Thee Stallion was coming to concert. I just want to go to the concert and not have to worry about if I'm going to be able to eat next week if I pay for that. Sometimes that's what it means to have financial stability, right? But you got to decide, what does that mean for you at this stage of life? Because it's not going to always be the same definition. In this season of life, what does it mean to have financial stability? So I hope that helps in terms of you being more granular, because the more details y'all can fill in, the faster and the easier it will come. No, I'm not trying to turn this completely into a manifestation conversation, but what that means, I don't know what the people out here be talking about. They be like, if you just believe it, it will come. No. When you think about that thing, when you say, okay, here's my goal, and you're like, I want, what did you say, Bernard? You said, I want to use your phrase. I want restoration. And you say restoration looks like I have 2 to 3 clients a month. I only work 5 to 10 hours a week, and I bring home $20,000 a month. That's what restoration looks like. Okay, now we got something to go after. Now your brain goes to work. It goes to, okay, how do we get the clients? How do we learn how to ask for higher amounts of money? How do we learn to be okay with we're only working 5 to 10 hours, but we're making this amount of money? What do I do with my time now that I have all the free time? You're giving your brain something tangible to work towards. But when we say these abstract things of like, I want freedom, I want restoration, I want peace, your brain has no idea what that means. So it doesn't know how to go to work to make that happen. Oh, Sir just came in here. Okay. Questions? How we thinking about this? I didn't realize I've been yelling and talking for so long, but yeah. How we feeling? Let me wrap this up to say, I want you to think about writing or finishing your dissertation from the standpoint of every day you know exactly what it is that you need to do. You know exactly what you need to check off your list. You know exactly how long it's going to take you, and you know exactly what steps to take to get it done. So you can get in and you can get out, because you got to go outside like it's summertime. Okay, we got festivals, we got weekend getaways, we got beaches, we got sitting at home like I was doing this weekend watching The Bear. Okay, season 3. I'm still not done with it yet. So if you watch The Bear, let's talk. Right? But you got other things to do other than be standing in front of a computer all day trying to write a dissertation. Imagine that it gets to be simple. Imagine that you get to enjoy it. I'm thinking about Camille, who was like, I enjoy my dissertation. I look forward to writing my dissertation. Imagine feeling that way. For some of you, like, girl, that would never happen. But what if it did? What if it did? That's what we do in the Finish Your Dissertation program. Erica, are you in a place to go live? If you are, we're pressed to go live. You see, I was trying to stop ranting. I was trying to get off, right? And then you wrote that. So are you in a place to go live? While she tells me, because there's a lag. Okay, you got a request. Wait, can I request you? Add us and go live. Yes. Okay. Hopefully that works. Oh, we got it. Hi. Oh, you look beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Girls. Yes.
Hi.
Okay. So you were about to make me on a rant, and I was like, I'm just gonna rant to you. So just for context for everybody on here, Erica has a new job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a job that she was not expecting.
No.
It's a salary that she was like, "Who did you give this to the right person? Oh, sounds good." And so she's freaking out a little bit, and she thinks she doesn't know what to do with this job. But what I know about Erica, because we've been working together for a couple of years now, we did this same cycle last year and the year before. Okay. We did the same cycle where all these people were like, you're brilliant, you're dope, here's this job, here's this responsibility. And then your brain wanted to freak out. So what is it about this new job that your brain is like, mm-mm?
It's freedom. Like, there's nobody checking up on me. There's no, like, because I'm at the district level. I'm not in a school. I'm working in central office. So there's nobody's like, here, you need to do this. It's self-guided. Like, you're going to be over principals and assistant principals, and this is what you're going to be doing. And that's it. There's no like she said to me today, she was like, everything we do, I want you to filter that through an administrative lens. I was like, okay. That was it. That was it. And then I asked her, I was like, so what are my times? She was like, oh, it's 8 hours. Just, you could do 8 to 4. You could do, as long as you do your 8 hours. I was like, okay. And then I was like, so do I check in? Do I sign out? She was like, no, there is no.
Mm.
So I'm coming from a school level mindset where like you have your principal, and it's not like that. Like there's a superintendent, there's bosses above me, but there's nobody like, hey, we need you to come cover a class.
Yeah.
Or hey, we need you to get this presentation together. Like it's not gonna be like that. It is I'm gonna be going from school to schools. I'm gonna have a set location, but it's me and I have a team that I'm over. Like I'm over a team.
Wait, side note. Wait, side note. Did you need your degree to do this? Did you doctor?
No,
That's so interesting, huh?
no, because I did not think that I would be here yet because my timeline was I'm not taking no another new job until I finish school. Then I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna do that until I become doctor, yada yada. And I did not need that at all. At all. No,
I,
did not need the title Dr. Brooks to get this job.
mm,
Or to be even seen in the space where like considered for this job. Because what I was told, they were like, we've been watching you since last year fall. And that's my first year out of the classroom. Like, yeah.
mm. And even that, right? If we go back to last school year,
Yeah.
right? You told me that you didn't think, if I remember correctly, I remember us having several conversations about can I leave the classroom if I'm not a doctor yet?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I did. I remember saying, because I went from special ed teacher to academic instructional coach, and I was like, I don't think I should leave yet because I'm not doctor yet. Let me finish this doctor. And then here I am at the district level.
Mm-hmm. So what
So
if?
it's
Oh, go
just
ahead.
hard for me to wrap my brain around this is real. Like, I started today. I went and packed up the rest of my stuff at my school, my old school,
Mm-hmm.
and then got in my car and drove to my new space. And I was like, there's nobody. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still trying to, I don't know. I don't know. I'm ready for somebody to come out and be like, psych, you got to go back to the school. Like, that's what I think I'm ready for. I don't know. I don't know. So, yeah.
You might have to. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi or not, but you may have to come off because it's spotty. But
Okay.
um, I want to point out something because I mentioned this earlier, right? Like we think that when we hit these goals that we will feel like we're prepared and that we'll feel like we're confident and legitimate. But you are demonstrating right now that even with all these like promotions and new jobs that you've received in the past few years, you still are like, are y'all sure? You sure? Me? You want me? What? It's it's not the degree, right? It's not the title, it's not the promotion, it's not the salary. Y'all, it's all what's happening up here. Her brain, and here's the thing, here's the real gag. Not only is your brain realizing that you did it and you're here, that you thought you probably had another 5 or 10 years before getting here, but here's the
Yes.
other part your brain knows. Take a deep breath. The other part that your brain knows is that this too is a stepping stone. This too will be for a year or two.
That's scary.
That,
I
that's why it's
can't.
freaking out.
I can't. I can't. I can't.
Yes. Tell me why you can't.
Be- I don't know. I don't know because I if I really dig deep and do real self work, I guess because of all of those that like not this they didn't say I couldn't, but just where I wasn't supposed to be in the space. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense? And to look back, and I've never was like negative or anything like that. Like I've always just been me, my authentic self. I have not changed who I am. Who I am, if I've always been that person. And to think like part of me is like, why me? But then part of me is like, well, why not you? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I just know I believe in this work and I want to do good work. That's my whole mindset throughout this whole thing. Like, I just want to do good work and I want to do the work and I want to make the change. Like, that's
Okay.
it. And I just think
They're
back, oh my
they're not paying you for your labor. Let me say it again. For everybody, hello. I hope y'all got your pen and your paper out, because now I get to be in my bag of coaching. So what do you hear when I say they are not paying you to do the work? Or let me
God.
rephrase what you said. They are not paying you to do good work. Let me say it that way. What does that mean?
Well, I know what it means to you because my work, like A-level work, is somebody else's C-level work. Like, so I know what that means. And it's hard to think that. Like, I don't know.
What do you think they're paying you for? Like, what is it? How will you know if you're doing good work or not?
This is a brand new position, so I don't like this is a brand new created, but like this is a brand new created position. Like they've never
Mm.
had anybody in this position but me, so I am the one. Like I don't know,
And
I don't know.
they gave
I guess,
it to you.
and they
Mm.
gave it to me.
Wait, but
I guess
I need you to pause, right? It's a position. We have no idea what to do with it. Here you go.
because they know what I can do. I guess they already know what I
And
can
what do you
do.
mean when you say they know what I can do?
Um, they know that I'm creative and innovative and can create something out of nothing. I suppose, because it's kind of how I
Okay.
feel.
No, go with me. What are the best what's the best environment, or when you think back in the past, when were the moments where you felt the most creative? Like, what was happening? What was your environment like? How
Oh,
did you
when
feel?
I was in the classroom teaching, like it
Okay.
was easy. It came easy to me. It was something I didn't have to think about.
Mm.
I didn't have to think. I could do it in my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I could literally do it in my sleep and continue to do it and then teach other people how to do it. I think I just answered my question.
No, keep going. We'll talk. Answer it out loud for everybody else.
I think because I could do it in my sleep and I could teach others how to do it and what that should look like because I already know what the vision is without them even giving me the blueprint because I create the blueprint.
Mm.
That's
Okay,
how it
y'all.
was in the
Let
classroom.
me take a moment to set the context, Erica. Okay, so everybody, when we are in a society where there's one group that's in control and they oppress another group who is not in control, right? One group makes the rules, the other group has to follow. The group that has to follow is usually the larger of the two, right? It's a small amount of people at the top who make the rules, right? And they tell the people at the bottom of the hierarchy, this is what you must follow, whether you like it or not. The people at the top are making the rules. How do you make rules? You have to think. You have to be creative. You have to be like engaging with other things. You know what you can't do? You can't be head down doing the work. Because if your head is down and you're constantly trying to research, like you're trying to do the work part, you don't have any capacity to dream, to be creative, to think of rules. When I say what are they paying her for? They're paying her for her brain. They're paying her for her creativity. They're paying her for the way she thinks. Now, she used a language where I didn't have to think inside the classroom. That's just how her creativity feels. She doesn't have to consciously,
Yeah,
but she's thinking, she's being creative. Most of you are thinking and being creative. They're paying you six figures for your brain.
that's hard to
That,
believe.
and that's the key.
What? Woo! It's like I mean I've cried all day. I've cried all day because I never would have thought that it would be within what 1 year out of the classroom. 1 year. I've only been out 1 year that I'd be here.
Mm,
1 year.
one
I just
year.
knew I knew it would be 5 to 10 years, okay, later down the road. Like I thought like that. I didn't think it would be like this
What did
quick.
what did you think it was going to be like?
I would stay at, as I love my school, I would stay there for another year or two, and then maybe gradually move into like an assistant principal and or a principal position. It never would have been district level because I wasn't thinking district level. I don't go over there with them people. I don't know them people. That's exactly what I said. I said, I don't know them people. I know these
Yeah.
people here in my environment. Like I was so comfortable in my bubble, and I felt good in my bubble. And one of the assistant superintendents, she said to me, she was like, you're gonna have to leave to grow, even grow more, like to grow more. Like, don't be afraid of change. And I was like, so me doing that, like, it's so hard for me because I
Yeah.
love consistency and change. And I like to know what I'm doing every day and all these things. No, it's not like that now. So, yeah.
Yeah, because your brain, what did you say? I'm here to teach others how to
Yeah.
do it.
I'm here to teach others how to do it. And we went over that today. She was like, that's exactly what I want you to do. I was like, oh, okay. But it'll be principals and assistant principals that I'll be doing that with.
And so, how do you teach principals and assistant principals to think like you? Because that's essentially what she's saying. I want them to think like you think.
I do not know. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I guess the same way I would do the teachers, just start at the center of the core, like who's the important, which is the students. Like, why is this best for students?
Yeah.
That's the angle that I would go for. Why is this best for students, and why do we need change? Why do we need innovative change? And what that could look like, and actually implement it. Not just tell them, but I actually would go to classrooms and implement it and show them how. That's what I'll do.
So we go back, right? Like like if you're supposed to be thinking or if you're supposed to be doing, right? Going back to the
Ah,
quote about the people at the top
right.
are
I'm
the
the
ones who
thinker.
are thinking, right? And the ones who just are at the bottom, I'm just talking about because we live in a society where we have our
Yeah.
hierarchy. Okay, y'all, so go with me. Those who are paid to think, this is what their days look like. You need unstructured time because you're being paid to think. So that means you should be thinking at work. What that looks like, if I had a camera in Erica's office, what that should look like is she might come to work. She might like eat a full breakfast. She might like send her husband a funny meme. And then she may sit there for an hour and just write out her thoughts. She
Mm.
may look at her team's files and see where they were previously, and then she may spend another hour just writing out her thoughts. She might spend a couple of hours reading some books here and there or watching a webinar presentation and then doing some more writing. And then she'll go home and that'll be a full day of work because that's what it looks like when you're getting paid for your brain because you have to spend most of your time nurturing your brain and being creative and pulling different things together because you're trying to figure out what's the best way to present information to your team to empower them in the way that they need in order to
Huh.
show up as principals and assistant principals. However, though, when you are a doer, like when you're being paid for your labor, like when you're being paid as a teacher, you're being paid to be in the classroom for X amount of hours. You're being paid for lesson plans. You're being paid to do the other like requirements of like be in the cafeteria and be in the drop-off line, right? You're getting paid for your labor to do. That's why your days are like boom, boom, boom. I gotta go here, I got a planning period, I got a class, I gotta go do this.
Yeah.
But when you're getting paid to think, you think.
Woo. That's gonna be hard for me. It's a hard adjustment. It's definitely a big shift. I'm gonna have to do some work
Oh,
on that.
it's a identity shift for sure,
It's
right?
a
Because when you're so
real
used to being the one who's like, I'm just trying to get there, now you're there, but you
oh
don't think
no.
you're supposed to be there.
Mm,
Okay, so here we
true.
go, Erica.
Okay.
Tell me, tell me 5 reasons why you are more than qualified. You're overqualified to be in this current position.
Okay. Well, one, I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing this work since I was a teacher in the classroom.
Boom. Mm-hmm.
That's flat out. I've been coaching and mentoring since I was a teacher in the classroom. I have led so many committees and been in charge of so many leadership projects while I was a teacher in the classroom for my assistant principal. I have even done her role for a while she was out and sick. And
Got
I've
through you.
and then moving to my new role as instructional coach as outside of the classroom. Um, I'm really good at looking at being able to unpack data and pick and find the spots that need to be improved, and just have a real good way of creating systems for school procedures when it comes to like academics and or behavior. Yeah.
See, I asked for five, y'all. She gave me more than five. Okay, let me run it back to you. The question was, why are you overqualified for your current position? The one she's freaking out about, right? I framed that leading question because I'm forcing her brain to think about something else than what it wants to think about, which is to freak out and talk about she's not qualified, right? When you ask yourself powerful questions, you're going to be real shocked with what the response was. And Erica's response as to why she's overqualified for the position she started today is number one, I've been doing this shit since I was a teacher. Boom. Two, I was helping the AP so much. And number three, I was an interim AP. Okay, did her job. Boom. Four, I was hired as an instructional coach last year. When she got hired, I could add this as an extra. And when she got hired, all the people were in her office. People that wouldn't even assign her, hey girl, what you doing? Can you teach me how to do this? Proof.
That's true. That's
Number
true.
five, you said I'm good at data and understanding its impact. Number six, you said I create systems for schools and how to get their procedures. Seven, nobody's touching her in special educations. You wish. You wish. In teaching classroom management, number eight, you wish you couldn't. You couldn't do it. It's not so much about the individual skill of classroom management. It
Wow.
means that I know how to command the attention of a room, especially little people
Yeah.
who is hard to pay attention. Right? I know how to command their attention and get them to learn and get them to understand what it is that I'm trying to teach them and to be able to execute valuable skills. She is already overqualified for her current position. And when you are thinking like this, that is how you show up to work being like, y'all lucky I showed up to this shit. Like, I don't even have to be here. Right? You might not be there now, but that's why we do this coaching. And I even do this in the program, which is why I'm talking to her, to y'all, like, allow so y'all can see and witness this. Okay, so based with me saying that, you hearing me list off your reasons back to you, what is your brain doing?
It's thinking about ways that I'm qualified for this job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not thinking like why anymore. It's thinking about my next thought is what am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to show up tomorrow? And actually, what kind of boss outfit I'm going to wear, if you really want me to be honest. Like, that's what my brain is thinking of because today was a just move in day. Tomorrow, no. It's like, it's go
What you
time.
wearing? What you gonna wear? What you wearing?
So I'm wearing this really cute pink, like light pink romper, and I had a really cute, like flowery navy and pink blazer that I'm wearing.
Yes.
And I put my hair in a little bun, and I have my pearls on. So yeah.
Yes. Because you know the pearls make it complete, right, y'all? I said I need to get my southern uniform together. I ain't got no pearls. I want nobody cancel me, okay? Because I need to show up and be
Uniform.
right.
Yes. But no, seriously, it is making me think that like the rest of my team is not there. So I'm just going to be in meetings. Like that's all I'm going to be doing. And so I'm just going to be thinking about like everything you said. Like I need that list written down because me saying it is different from you like writing it down. I need that. I need to like
Yeah.
paste it on my desk and see it every day because I know I'm going to have, that's going to be a thing for me.
And here's the challenge I want to give you. Once a day, as you're in a meeting with your boss or you're in a casual conversation, anytime that someone gives you a compliment, or like for instance of like, oh, we've been watching you since last year, I just want you to go ahead and write that down. They've been watching me since last year.
Okay.
We want to collect the evidence. Y'all could do this too. It doesn't have to just be about a job thing, but start collecting the evidence so that when that hating ass voice, that critical voice that wants to be like, you're not even qualified, you're not supposed to be here, you can go to your page and be like, well, actually, I've been doing this since I was in the classroom. They said they've been watching me. Right? You have actual things to talk back to your brain to be like, I'm not entertaining you, imposter syndrome. Like, you got me fucked up in so
That's
many
good
ways.
brain work. Okay. Yeah, that's good brain work. Yeah. Yeah.
Because imagine every day you're going into that building with your notebook, or maybe it's a note thing on your phone, and you see that list and you're like, yeah, absolutely, I belong here.
Yeah.
Like, even your energy changed on this call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. How are you feeling?
I feel good. I needed to talk that out because I was freaking out.
Yeah.
You know how I get. I freak out.
Yes.
I freak out. So yes, thank you. Yeah. Woo.
There are other
Um,
people watching too, though. So what
yeah.
I want you to start thinking about is, now that you know, oh, I got this. In the next 5 to 10 years, what's that position that you're willing to wait for? And maybe it's not a position, maybe it's something else, but what's that next version of your career that you're like, I'm willing to pass up the good opportunities for that opportunity. That's
Mm,
the assignment. Like, I'm willing to, because people are going to keep giving you different things. They want you to come do this. They want you to be on this project. We're no longer in the space where we're just happy to be here. No, you get to decide that this is what I'm waiting for. I'm not getting out the bed for less than X amount of money. I'm not responding to the email unless it has these things on the email. That's what I want you to start thinking about.
okay.
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 Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Okay, y'all know me and my
Wait,
issues. I don't
I don't
know.
know how to get out.
Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, I hope that was helpful. I'm glad that we got to do that because it gave me a chance to show you like a little bit of what coaching looks like. And Hafsa, I appreciate you saying you belong, because you absolutely do. Yeah, I do this all day long. Like, coaching, when I'm in my coaching bag, you better watch out. You're gonna need your water. Most of the time when people are done with me, this is the instructions I gave Camille earlier. I said, log off the Zoom, go find your husband, give him a hug, get in the bed, ask him to bring you a snack, and he has to lay in the bed with you. The reason why I gave her the set of instructions is because I know that the coaching I gave her was pretty tough. Even right now, Erica, go find your husband, give him a hug, tell him he just has to hug you. He don't got to know why he hugging you. He don't got to fix it. He just got to give you a hug. That's how he can fix it. Okay, and if you feeling real frisky, tell him go get you a snack. Okay, because we often just need a hug and a snack. It would help our nervous system regulate. Right? These two people just happen to have husbands. I'm not saying everybody got a husband, but y'all get what I'm saying. Go find you a living being, a fur baby or whatnot, and give them a hug. Because the conversation we just had with Erica, yeah, we're talking about a positive thing, but the nervous system does not know it's positive yet. Her nervous system does not realize that the conversation I was just having with her is a positive one. Her nervous system, all it knows is we're in a new situation and a new job and a new building with new people, and we don't know the system. We don't know the processes. We don't know what the culture is. We don't know. Do we come in at 8:30 like it says on a piece of paper? Do we come in at 9 o'clock? When your nervous system has no idea how to orient itself, it stresses out. It gets dysregulated. So even though I'm having a conversation with Erica about her new job and other people are like, congratulations, this is amazing, she doesn't feel like it's amazing yet. Like, she intellectually knows it's a good thing, but her nervous system is like, are we sure? I like where I just got comfortable being an instructional coach. Now they want me to do this job? What? And so when we do exercise, like, we give the nervous system a job, we say, what are 5 reasons why you're overqualified for this position? Your nervous system calms down and it goes into work mode. It's like, oh, I can solve this problem. And so she was able to rattle off, what, we got to like 10, I think, by the end of that conversation. And you notice that she started to calm down. You notice like her light started to get brighter. She started laughing more. She started smiling more. Her breathing got more regulated. She started thinking. She got out of like, I don't know. And she started being like, wait a minute. She started to hear her answers so much that she was like, what am I wearing tomorrow? That's a sign I'm looking for when I'm coaching someone to be like, where are you? That means that she got out of the dysregulation and moved towards starting to see herself as, I deserve to be here. I belong here. They're lucky to have me. When you have that energy, so when she goes to work tomorrow, she's gonna look cute, because I love a good pink and blue combination. Right? She's gonna be real cute with her pearls, but she's going to walk into that building even more taller, like even more confident, because we're just answering like powerful questions. This is why you need a coach. I'm not saying it gotta be me, even though I know I'm the best, okay? but you may not, for whatever reason. But especially if you're inside of the Finish Your Dissertation Institute or you're in Qual Scholars, period, I'm going to ask you questions like that. One might say, why are you talking to Erica about her job when it don't have nothing to do with her dissertation? It has everything to do with the dissertation. Because if I don't help Erica figure out how to go to this new job and feel comfortable, guess what she doesn't have energy left over for? Guess what her brain won't be able to focus on? The fact that she's collecting her data right now and she needs to analyze it. She won't be able to do that because her brain's going to be preoccupied with, I got a new job and it's new people and everything is so new and I don't even know I'm supposed to be here. How are you supposed to have a brain that's doing that and then go write a findings chapter? What? No. This is why we do the work of let's get regulated, let's calm down, let's see our greatness. And from that energy, we go right. That is how your 10 hours becomes everybody else's 40 hours. So I hope that that example was helpful. You get a taste of what it's like to be in the group. Y'all, reply with FYD. Start the application. It's 4 questions. I'm just trying to get a sense. I'm going to respond. I'm the one responding. Like the initial response is a AI system. But then afterwards, it's all me. It's me. So I'm either going to voice message you, or I'm going to write you back, and I'm going to ask you some clarifying questions. Because what I'm trying to get a sense of is where are you in the process? I'm trying to get a sense of how you think. And then I'm going to explain to you what you can do from this moment to move forward. Before I even tell you anything about my program, I'm going to help you. Because that's my value, that's my values. That I want to make sure that when you leave me, you're better than when I found you. Whether you decide to be in this program or not. I'm trying to get a sense of where you are so I can give you some direction. And after I give you some direction, then I can tell you, I have more information to tell you if this program would be a good fit for you. So go ahead and type that, DM me. You're going to get that automation. You're going to answer those questions, and then I'm going to respond. Enrollment ends on the 22nd. We only have 1 cohort, 10 spots. You want to get in this program because I'm closing the doors. You're going to be real sad, okay? Those doors are not going to open back up probably until, what's today? This July, September. Getting in, because by September, you can have a whole proposal done. All right, I'm going to go. I need to go rest my voice and eat some dinner, but I hope this was great. Thank y'all for your time and attention. I will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.